Amazing. Hello, Illuminaries, and welcome to this week's edition of Women Who Read. I am so excited here today because I have with me someone who I've been admiring and respecting, someone who I've also worked with, but not really, but I know who she is, and I'm so excited to finally have her on our show. She is a LinkedIn top voice. She's taught many people how to level up their virtual presence and lead with confidence, especially now that we're in a digital first world. She's amassed 320,000 followers just by teaching people how to do that. She's a sought after speaker. So I'm so excited to have her with us today. I mean, in her busy schedule. So she's on keynotes for Fortune 500 companies and top tier conferences. So amazing. She is a subject matter expert on this specific topic. And she's also about to release her new book in 3 weeks called Unforgettable Presence, a game changing guide for all of us. I mean, especially as women, right? If we're looking to level up our presence in the boardroom, in the meeting room, even at home for some of us, right?
Yeah.
So, what are we going to learn from Lorraine Lee today? I am so excited to have her here. Lorraine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you. Finally, we're doing this.
I know. After months and months and months of finally getting time in your schedule, you're so busy, and we love that. That is exactly all the things that you're sharing with the world, which we need. Okay, Lorraine, I have a question for you. And we used to work at LinkedIn together, right?
Yep,
So,
yep.
in pure LinkedIn fashion, what is the one thing we cannot find out about you on your LinkedIn profile?
Great question. Classic LinkedIn. I would say, right, this is like pretty new, so it's not really anywhere out on the internet right now, but I am starting to learn golf. So we will see if I like it. It's very hard, but I can see why people get so into it. So yeah, I'm doing that with my husband, so it's a fun activity for us.
Exciting. That's one of the reasons why I picked up squash, because I knew that if I didn't pick up squash, I would lose my husband and my son. Completely. I was like, I have to pick up a sport that they both like.
Family activity. That's nice.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so your book's coming out in 3 weeks. I got a copy of it myself. I'm really excited to get it in my hands finally. So what inspired you to write this book, Unforgettable Presence? Was there a pivotal moment or theme or challenge in your life that you felt, you know what, this needs to exist?
It's funny because it was never on my bingo card that I was going to write a book. It wasn't something where I was, for like years I've been like thinking about it and I had like this idea. What happened was when I was in my last role at Prezi, I had started public speaking. I sort of built this little side hustle, very modest side hustle, and I became a LinkedIn learning instructor. And my coworker from my SlideShare days, at that point when LinkedIn still owned SlideShare, he reached out and he said, "Congratulations on the course." And he said, "When is the book coming out?" Sort of like as a joke, but I was like, oh, huh, can I write a book? Like, interesting. And so I'm so thankful he sort of planted the seed at that point. But that was the initial sort of like impetus around like the ideas in my head. And then started my business at the start of 2023, still had it in my head. I started outlining what a book might look like. But I mean, when I say outline, it was like barely anything, but I was part of this self-publishing cohort. And I was like, I'm starting my business. I have all this time. Let me work on this. And I started and I was like, this is so hard. And I don't really know, I don't see like the vision for what the book looks like. So let me put that on the back burner. I decided that I wanted to wait to publish with a traditional publisher. And then at the end of my first year of business, a few traditional publishers happened to reach out, and sometimes we don't always feel ready, but I was like, this is the universe's sign, telling me that I need to do this thing. And so I thought through again, like, okay, what can I speak on? And I had at that point more firmly like come up with the idea of professional presence, how and where you are seen, and realized that that was like the focus, and I had the story behind it, and so that's how the book came to be.
Oh, wow. So it was just organic.
Yeah, quite organic. Yeah, it wasn't, yeah, like I said, like it wasn't something where it's like been on the back of my mind for years. It just was like a series of events that sort of led to this great moment. And now it's like I think one of the most exciting things of my career. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And we talk about presence, right?
Mhm.
What maybe throughout your career have you noticed as a recurring, I would say, problem or trait that people have, especially when they didn't know that how to build that presence?
Mhm. I think when it comes to presence, and the reason I'm very excited for this book to enter the world is because a lot of us, when we hear presence or we think of presence, we automatically think, oh, executive presence and how I show up in a boardroom and I have to maybe, be of a certain level. And what I'm saying with this book is professional presence is much more broad, and executive presence is one piece of the puzzle, but presence is really both about how and where you are seen. And you mentioned earlier, Nina, like we're in a digital first world. Like it's so important to not forget about the where. Because in my experience, and the intro of my book, like I talk about my career starting off at LinkedIn, and I was there for 6 years, and I did really great work. I was liked by my colleagues. I worked on really important projects, but as hard as I pushed, could not figure out how to get promoted from that mid-level to that senior level. And I realized that it was presence, but not just executive presence, but presence in terms of, oh, I didn't really advocate for myself, or I didn't make it known, I didn't make my work known outside of my immediate group. So you want to appear in the right places and be seen by the right people. And so presence to me became so much more important, like holistically. Like it's a bunch of different things that contribute to your overall presence. And I hope that that idea gets people excited, makes them feel empowered and really confident, because we can tackle all these things. And these are all learnable skills that can contribute to a really strong presence.
Oh, you just hit a few notes here. I mean, one, Lorraine, thank you for for sharing that, we need to advocate for ourselves. It's exactly what I share with a lot of the women that I work very closely with, and even the men, right? Sometimes we go like, oh, I don't I don't feel comfortable, right, talking about my work. I feel like I'm boasting. And Lorraine, I'm going to go into a little bit of a subtext here, or a segment here. I mean, I'm an Asian woman. You're an Asian woman in the States, right? I, I, I wonder what your childhood was like, and, growing up with all these different Asian values. Here I'm in Singapore, where we women are generally not the type to speak up about our achievements or our accolades. There's a deep sense of, oh, if I spoke up, it means I'm arrogant. I'm not humble, and people will think I'm talking big about myself, and I don't want that. So just putting this lens on top, and again, I know your background is Chinese. I know you've grown up in the US. There is an element of environment, right? Nature versus nurture, right? And how can I, as an Asian woman, feel more comfortable advocating for myself in this world?
Yes, I definitely grew up with some of those more traditional values, like, oh, my hard work, I'm gonna work hard, put my head down, like I'm gonna get the promotion that way, I'm gonna show off all the things I did. And I think it's really important to realize the environment that we're in so we can still honor ourselves, be humble, but also realize that, okay, we're in a different playing ground. We're in corporate America, and you need to talk about your work and you need to make yourself seen in order for others to see you, because even if you do hard work, like and you have the best manager in the world, like we're all so busy, everyone's really focused on themselves. So I talk about this concept in the book about being the CEO of your own career. And so it's a really big mindset shift where you really have to be proactive and take things into your own hands and not leave things to chance, which is what I did, which I was like, oh, I've been here a certain number of years, or oh, I've done this and that. So yeah, naturally I'm going to get promoted, but that's not the case. And so understanding the rules of the game. And then when you're talking about advocating for yourself, there are ways that you can advocate for yourself that don't feel like, oh, I'm just like me, talking about myself all the time. For example, there was this research studied in, published in Harvard Business Review that showed that when we use more collaborative language, so like we, us, our, you're actually seen as more of a leader versus I statements. And you seem more junior if you use I statements. So that's like, that should be a good thing, right? Because it's less like, oh, I'm just putting attention on me, but I'm like lifting all of us up together. So very collaborative, communal, which I feel like actually resonates very well with sort of Asian culture and values. And then, another thing, I had the chance to interview nearly 3 dozen business leaders, experts, C-suite at Fortune 500, and they shared so much amazing advice and research. And some themes that I saw were, yes, when we're in a room and sometimes we look different, it can be easy to get in our head and think, oh, I'm facing this barrier, or oh, it's going to be hard to do this because of this background. But what a few of them said, and the way that they succeeded was, oh, I almost didn't even think about that barrier. And I use it to my advantage. Oh, you're going to have maybe a negative view of me, or you're not going to think that I can achieve that. Well, I'm going to use that to my advantage and I'm going to excel in what I do and I'm going to prove you wrong, essentially, and sort of like not give in to maybe others' perceptions, potentially negative perceptions of you or negative assumptions of you. And so I thought that was very powerful as well to sort of like just not even think of the limitations and you just go for it.
I love that. And especially it can be quite hard to do to just say just do it, you know?
Yeah.
And this is the one thing that I mean, James Clear talks about it in his Atomic Habits book as well, is that confidence comes from action, not you're not waiting to be confident to then take action.
Yeah.
And so last 2 weeks ago, I was actually in a room full of even military people, like, and I was running a workshop for them, and it was the same thing. And there is a feedback loop that comes from just picking up the weight,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
or
Yes.
tweaking a process and then realizing it's possible. Even in the military, it's quite difficult to speak up as a woman, right? Because of the power gradient, and the power gradient, and on top of that, because it's the military, it's there is an added sense of reverence. And so I hear you on this one. I think it is really really hard just in general because of multi layers. We have the Asian culture, we have, the power gradient, and then in some cases, some industries, some is a more military, where you actually have the added layer of, or what's the word I'm looking for, um not severity, the added layer of rank,
Mhm.
which is seen in a more sovereign way. So it can be hard. And so how would you give an advice to anyone, right, in in that type of environment? Just do it is easy, but to take one step forward
Yeah.
in any direction, what advice can you give that person to just have that little boost of
Mhm.
confidence to take step forward?
Yeah, you're right. It's I think saying just do it. There's a lot behind that. But really the like the message or the idea behind that is like you don't let those maybe outside forces like get you down. And, one way that can be really helpful to sort of counteract that is to find mentors or sponsors in your network. And those have been so invaluable for my career. Now, mentors are people who coach you, who share about their own experiences, who perhaps ask you probing questions to get a little bit deeper to understand what you're looking for. Sponsors are going to be people who open doors for you and who say your name when you're not in the room. And so at different points in our careers, we'll need different people. But those people, and particularly, I guess both actually, both of those types of people, if you're feeling nervous or uncertain or need some guidance, or maybe just need like, I'll give an example, like posting on LinkedIn can be a scary thing, but you have someone in your circle who you can show the post to and be like, is this okay? And they say, yeah, go for it. Like it looks great. And then you start posting and you gain confidence, and sort of mentors and sponsors can maybe be that like second check to just give you that confidence base. Like, is this the right thing? Should I try this? Should I go for it? Do I have the capability? And you have the mentor or the sponsor, or I talk about feedback circles in the book, people who are vested in your success and who can tell you and be there to support you and give you that guidance.
Oh, okay. I love that. It's especially true. I think remember getting promoted or having these opportunities to be more visible because I either had a mentor or a sponsor, or
Yeah,
sometimes even both. Sometimes it's the same person, sometimes it's two
yeah, it's
completely
great when
different
it's the
people.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, who would actually help me to get there. I remember this so clearly. And thank you for sharing that. So you talked a little bit about LinkedIn and how, starting a LinkedIn presence, right? So I think the question that I have is for someone who's a bit new to LinkedIn
Mhm.
and I'm so scared. I don't want what if people judge me? Oh, there's so much noise on LinkedIn. How do I cut
Yeah.
through the noise? What advice would you give for someone just starting out on LinkedIn?
I first want to set the scene of the power of LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has really become our virtual water cooler, our virtual landing page, and really the ultimate virtual office. So LinkedIn is not just the resume job search site anymore, even though obviously it still does amazing at that. But it really is a place, like you said, to grow your presence, to grow your visibility, to grow your expertise, and make yourself known and stay top of network. So if someone is scared about being on LinkedIn, first, I think it's great that, they know that it's an important place to be. And then if you're nervous, I say start small. I think there's a lot of pressure. We see a lot of content on the platform to feel like, oh, I have to be posting every day. Like, what am I talking about? I have to make it perfect. And that's not the case at all. So if you're someone who's getting started, I like to suggest commenting as a really wonderful way to create some content, get your voice out there, but it feels maybe a little bit less out there than I'm going to make an original post from my own account. And when you comment, you will notice that you will still gain followers. You will hone your voice and figure out what exactly you like to talk about. And you will meet a lot of really interesting people and make some really cool connections. I know Nina and I kind of worked at LinkedIn or overlapped at the same time, but like we got reconnected because of LinkedIn and you reached out and then now we're like friends and we talk. And so there's really a lot of power in that. And so it's baby steps. It's not feeling like you have to get it all right to start, and don't think you have to be posting every day because that will definitely lead to burnout and it will not be fun at that point.
Oh yeah, I know. I actually hit a point where I think this was sometime 3 years ago where I
Huh?
just felt I could not post anymore. I was like, and I was running out of inspiration. And especially I think now when I look back, sometimes I go into the portal and I'm sorry, the platform, and I feel like LinkedIn has somewhat become a place where one, you have people who are just shouting out their achievements, right? And it's a good thing in if you're really proud about your work, but for it can trigger some people
Mhm,
in other ways, right? Who might not feel as confident.
mhm,
So one, I think the that's important because this part, and I've heard this more and more actually,
mhm,
surrounding the I don't want to go on LinkedIn now because all I see is these type of people who keep promoting themselves and I'm not there for self promotion, right? So how do I as somebody who who's just, we talk about commenting earlier, but just starting, how can I start thinking about being authentic on this such an important platform, right?
mhm,
That will help me build my visibility or help me get jobs that I never thought I would. Um,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
so, how can I cut through the noise and just feel like, okay, this is a place that I can be my authentic self and still promote myself in a way that doesn't come across as self promoting?
Mhm. The reason probably that those people seem really like out there or kind of annoying is because like all they're doing is promoting. So that's not what you want to be doing. You don't want to be talking about yourself all the time. In my book, I chapter 3 is all about LinkedIn. So I talk about the three different types of post content. You have personal, you have educational, and you have professional. So personal, some sort of challenge you've overcome, how you negotiated your salary, just some personal story. Educational, this is going to be how-to content, so helping people learn something, how to build your LinkedIn presence, how to create a strong video presence, how to present more effectively, right? And then the third is professional. So this is going to be perhaps you see an article in the news, there's something happening in your industry, it's conversations around a future of work, like do we come back to the office? It's about AI, like whatever it is. And so when you can intersperse these three topic types. Let's say um, promotional should maybe be like 25%, no more than 25% of the content you put out there. So when you can intersperse with these other three types of content, I think it becomes much more balanced. People will not feel like you're just shouting about yourself all the time. And then that way you're helping people. It's really like you want to create content to help people. It's not me, me, me. And that's like the beauty of LinkedIn. Like it's about helping people, building those relationships, building those connections. And so when you start thinking about it like that, I think that can be really helpful in terms of thinking about, okay, how can I create content that showcases my expertise while also not being like so in your face and obnoxious and bragging and find something that's authentic to me, right? Especially when you share those personal stories.
Yeah, and I love this because it's basically sharing like, hey, what do I know,
Mhm.
right? And from what do I know, I'll end up building who do I know,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
think that's so important, especially because in this world today where everyone wants shortcuts, everyone wants the give me the 5 tips quickly, give me the how to's quickly. I actually think this is an advantage for anyone who's learning to post on LinkedIn and doesn't want to be that self-promotion person.
Yeah.
I think there's an absolute opportunity here for anyone. And I started doing that myself, and actually I grew my followers just like that because
Mhm.
I was posting more how-to content, and here are some tips, or I post some motivational quotes, and that's it. I barely talk about myself, actually.
Yeah.
At least in the last year, once
Yeah.
every now and then, I run a workshop and I put a less of a self-promotion post, but it is kind of a self-promotion post, right? I don't say like, oh, I ran a workshop for all these people,
But
but I
those are
wrote like
so important to include. Like we want to know that you like run workshops so that people can find you because they want to learn from you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like we talk about top of funnel to bottom of funnel and then
Mhm.
conversion rate. So all of these things, I think there was one thing that we learned at LinkedIn, which was you need to think like a marketer, right? To market yourself. And this is exactly true. And everything that you shared around, okay, this type of content is important. The how to's, the self promotion, do it, but don't do it too much, because people get, they don't want to hear only about self promotion. They want to hear what you know, and then who knows you, also. So that is super helpful. So I think we talk about online a lot, right? What about offline? How can I, especially in a room, first time going into a room, don't know anybody there, build an unforgettable presence?
There's a few things that you can do. I think so many of us, I don't know if you've heard this, Nina, but so many of us, I feel like when we go into in-person networking events now, we're just like, how do we do this? Like even so many years after COVID, we're like, I forgot how to interact with people. So I think like sort of the basic, like the handshake, the eye contact is critical. When we shake hands, there's a scientific reason why we do this. Skin to skin contact releases a hormone called oxytocin. It helps us bond. Same with the eye contact. So you'll want to have a firm handshake too. No dead fish limp handshakes. So show that you're confident. And I think another really powerful way, and honestly this is advice that can be used virtually too, but I think in person especially, is we really want to break out of autopilot conversations, and we want to uh, have really strong introductions. So in the book I talk about this concept called a UPI, which stands for unique and powerful introduction. And what a lot of people do when they introduce themselves, especially at networking events, it's like, "Hi, I'm Lorraine, and here's my job title, and I work at this company." And it's such like they treat it as like a throwaway moment, but it's such an important moment to really make a lasting impression and to create some back and forth with the other person. So instead of just stating those things, you might say, "Oh, I'm really passionate about creating content that educates data scientist, like I don't know, like it can be something really specific or presenting a problem that you solve. So, oh, I'm really passionate about helping really ambitious professionals and high potential leaders go from overlooked to unforgettable. That would be perhaps my tagline at a networking event. And then someone would ask, oh, like, what do you mean by that? And oh, I do that through like the speaking, and here's some examples. And so I think leveraging that moment and even just a few sentences more or a different take or a different approach to that introduction is really impactful, especially, yeah, in person, virtually, honestly, it's good for both. But I think in person, again, because we sort of forgot some of our socializing skills, that's a good one to keep in mind.
Oh my God, absolutely. I think every now and then believe it or not, even for me, I go into a networking event and I go like, okay, what is my one sentence elevator pitch about myself, right? Like not necessarily pitching, but like an introduction that I want someone to remember, right? And I say not necessarily pitching, not because I have a problem against pitching. I have zero issues against pitching, but it's the how not every single introduction needs to be a pitch. It's an introduction that becomes a pitch.
Yes.
And sometimes I forget. I'm like, what was the thing that landed the last time with this type of people? And I forget. And I try new things every time
Yeah,
and
it's good to
something that
experiment.
sticks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think you touch on an important point. Like, it's really about trying to build that relationship versus like I'm pushing something onto you.
Yeah, especially at these chamber networking events where we know everyone's there to network because it's a business networking event. Those type of things, like that people are there because they want to bring get more businesses. And that
Hmm.
is a very clear cut. Like, look, you're here for that game, right? We're here to network. You're here to get more name cards. You're here to get more leads. Like that is clear. Then there's a certain pitch that goes with that. But in another bit more informal networking event, like, oh, this is what I do, and this is so I think
Yeah,
there's time, place, and
sure.
like context around the audience around it. So I have one trick question.
Okay.
And okay. So you know how sometimes you meet someone and you're like, I need to get out of this conversation.
Yeah.
What is a sneaky yet slick way of leaving that conversation without coming across rude?
I have a few ideas for that. The thing is, if you're feeling like I want to get out of this conversation, remember that the other person is probably feeling the same way, but neither one of you knows how to get out of it. So something I've done before is I might say, oh, I need to run to the bathroom. I'm going to get another drink. It was so nice chatting with you. I don't want to keep you from everyone else. Thank you again for your time, and yeah, I'll find you on LinkedIn or like whatever it is. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing that works really well is you can express interest in the last thing they said. So what that might look like is, oh Nina, I have to I'm got to go meet someone else, or I want to like go I want to make sure that we're meeting a lot of different people at this event. But you mentioned I want to ask you before I leave, like you mentioned this one thing. Can you elaborate on that? And so you feel good. You're like, oh, Lorraine's listening to me. She was interested in this thing I said, and I'm also prepared. She's getting ready to leave. So those are two techniques that you can try.
I love that. Usually I do the hi. There's someone I just saw. That's usually I need to say hi to this person. And then I usually do the hello, hello, and I hand it off and then I go sneak away. That's usually what I do. But I love the second one specifically. It's like, okay, I'm mentally preparing this person to leave because I think that party trick of mine is starting to get seen because I've got people telling me that I'm really good at pairing them with somebody and then throwing the ninja bomb. I need a new trick now. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah.
And with that, Lorraine, thank you so much for your time. This has been an amazing session. I learned a lot from it. And for all of you out there who are really, really keen to find out more, click below for the pre-order link. And this is coming out in 3 weeks, people. You
Yes.
need to get your hands on this book. Thank
April
you, Lorraine, for your
22nd.
time.
Thank you, Nina. So good chatting.
And you. Thank you. And have a fantastic weekend. What's left of it.